I would do everything I could not to write and not to read. And then stuff happens and it's like, oh, I guess I'm writing a book now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emotional resilience, man. For me, that emotional resilience embodies so much of living a full life, because we're always, no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, we're always going to have two things. We're always going to have good times and we're always going to have bad times. I think that's just, we're guaranteed those things. Even in the deepest, darkest, toughest of depression and anxiety and all the other bad stuff, I did have genuinely good days. Right. And on the flip side, even in the happiest, wonderful, most, great times, if, like, just a great night with friends, with family, with a girlfriend, whatever, like, I still had bad days. And so because we're guaranteed those two things, unless we have some sort of a flexibility and some sort of a way to manage how we feel and be able to internalize the good and then not let the bad affect us as bad as we might want it to. If we can do that, then we can kind of get through life pretty okay. We're going to have the highs and the lows. And as long as we can stay, I want to say, as long as we can stay focused on some of the goals and plans and things that we have, whatever that might be, because it's going to be different for everybody. Emotional resilience is going to help us just stay on our own path. It's going to help us enjoy the good times, and it's going to help us get through the bad times. And that, for me, I think that saved my life, was just really internalizing that idea of let the good times be good and let the bad times be bad, and not try to change circumstances and change things that you can't change. And it's, if to be resilient is not to break, but it's to bend, So sometimes you might, I've woken up and have bad days, and, I won't want to go to the gym, or I won't want to go to work, or I won't want to just even communicate with anybody. But I know that especially on those days, if I allow myself a little bit of space to feel whatever I'm feeling, but also not allow myself enough space to disregard responsibilities and things that I have to do, that sort of flexibility between those two ideas and those two principles is going to help me to get through that bad day. And then on the good days, I'm going to be feeling so good and things are going to be so awesome that it's like, I feel so good. I don't really think I need to go to the gym today, because sometimes working out and exercising sucks. Sometimes it's not. Yeah. Sometimes we don't want to do it. So if you have an especially good day, you're like, I don't want to do that. But knowing that, well, if I'm going to work out, it's just going to make today better. Right. I hopefully I'm making sense here, but it's been so, I've just found it so, it's been ingrained and so pervasive in every day of my life, and in every principle, and in everything. Just this idea of, kind of letting yourself, and it's like the perfect flow state almost, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're floating down a river, and sometimes you have really, really cold water, or you have really big rapids or whatever, or you have some intense things going on, and you just float through it and you handle it and you keep going along. Otherwise, if you can't handle your emotions, or if you're too emotionally reactive to all sorts of things, then things get really hard and get very, very difficult, because then the smallest inconvenience in life, which is going to happen 100%, you're going to have an inconvenience. Then it turns into something worse, and it turns into something terrible and difficult, when really it doesn't need to. And so I think I answered your question, hopefully. But emotional.
I think
yeah.
And something that quite mentioned, and I had to jot it down, whereas it's in terms of where I all summarize it, in general is acknowledging that there are things that you can't change. It's something that actually we end up not getting. It goes back to the quote that I said in terms of that you shouldn't take life seriously. Also, you quite mentioned it in the next century will be not here. Everyone will forget you. If you keep on trying to work on things that you cannot change, you will live a miserable life.
Mm-hmm.
And also another thing you mentioned in terms of going to gym, and actually, yeah, I agree with you. There are things that actually are hard on going to the gym because sometimes you feel like you are good today, and don't speaking onto what George said, those good days and bad days, and I also felt it, but at the same time, I would like to say that going to gym, it really helps. It also builds that mental resilience. Because in the gym, one thing I have said that I've seen onto myself is the fact that no matter how much the weights are hard, but at the back of your head, you have that thing that say, drop it and go home. But you don't. Keep on doing it. In a way of, to me, I don't know about you, but to me, I feel like I need to prove to myself that I can lift it. I need to prove to myself that it was worth it. Because in a way, sometimes I look at it in the perspective of flip. I paid money to be here, so I cannot just let this money go to waste. And I feel like one of my motivations, and also definitely my mental is someone that is mentally fit, someone that not relies on other people but relies onto myself. So again, I just want you to add some things in terms of what you said in terms of mental resilience. What are some specific techniques or tools that you use apart from those ones you mentioned, so the audience can trust in terms of, probably, as I've said, that probably someone who's listening to this podcast might find it helpful and be able to practice what you actually practice when you actually build mental resilience.
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a principle I can't take credit for, but we all are very familiar with instant gratification, right? Instant gratification is basically, scrolling on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever social media platform, and you see a video that's satisfying, right? And you watch it, you feel like, oh, this is awesome, and then you go on to the next thing, and you have that dopamine hit, that instant, like, yeah, this is good, right? And then you move on to the next thing. Well, there are some problems, I think, with trying to always live and always have instant gratification. Life is full of delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is just what you're talking about. It's when the weights are heavy and you don't want to lift it and you could just stop lifting it, but you know that if you do lift it, and even if you fail the rep, right? But even if you lift the weight and you have a successful time at the gym, the pain and the difficulty of going to the gym delays that gratification, and then later on you'll feel better about yourself because you did that. The idea of delayed gratification is, I think it's pervasive in everywhere, right? Like, one thing that I like to do is I'll do cold showers or cold plunges. The whole idea is delayed gratification because it's so cold, and the first response that you have when it's a cold shower or a cold plunge is to get out. You don't want to sit in cold water, be in a cold shower. No one wants to do that. It's not necessarily fun, but you put yourself in this uncomfortable environment and you put yourself in the situation that you immediately want to leave, but you force yourself to stay and you talk yourself through staying in the cold water. I'm going to sit here in the cold shower. I'm going to sit here in the cold water for 3 minutes or however long you're going to do it. And you focus on your breathing and you just force yourself to stay, and you get in your head, right? Then you get out and you just feel amazing. One, because you're not in cold water anymore, but two, you get the feeling of warming up. Your body literally feels better because it's going through the process of having gone extremely cold and it's starting to warm up. And you get that immense gratification because you did something difficult. So it doesn't have to be a cold shower. It doesn't have to be a cold plunge, right? Those help because there is a physical response to that. But what it can be is just delaying your gratification. So it's like you have some work that you want to do, or you want to do something after work or whatever. You have, like, let's say you really enjoy playing video games or something, and you say, well, I'm not going to let myself play any video games until I complete X, Y, and Z, until I complete whatever thing. Then when you complete them, let yourself play that video game, right? And you have this sort of give and take of this delayed gratification. And you start to build this toughness that when your job fires you, you get laid off from your job, or your girlfriend dumps you, or you lose an AirPod, or like if just something in life happens, you already have this toughness and this ability to look at difficult situations, uncomfortable scenarios, and talk yourself through it and get through the difficult part until finally it lets up and life starts to go good again. So that whole idea of just delayed gratification, it has been huge for me, like, this is a silly example, but I use it all the time. After I published the first book, I got an author copy. An author copy basically is just a copy that's cheaper than another copy. It's nothing special. But anyway, so I ordered one of those on Amazon, and the night that it got to my house, the first thing I wanted to do was open it up, look at it, look through it, and just really revel in that. And I was like, that's awesome. But I was like, I had tons of laundry that I had to do. I had to kind of clean up my room. I had to do the dishes. I had specific chores that I had to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any clothes to wear for the next week, or no dishes to use, or. So I told myself, I said, this is a wonderful accomplishment that I did. Like, publishing a book is amazing. I'm excited to see what it looks like. And again, I actually see for the first time, the actual physical book. But I know that if I don't do these simple chores that I have to do, then later on down the road, in a week or 2 weeks, I'm going to be pretty upset with myself because I don't have anything to wear. I don't have any dishes to use, right? These are so silly and so mundane and so just silly things. So I told myself, I said, all right, look, I'm going to do these chores, get them done, and then I'm going to allow myself the gratification, the fulfillment, the satisfaction of looking at my physical book for the first time. And that's what I did. And I think in that process, it just made opening the book and looking at it and enjoying the fruits of my labor, it made it so much better. Just because I delayed the gratification just a little bit so that I can actually do things that I needed to do. And so many of us, getting a package from Amazon or getting something in the mail or whatever, I think that's probably somewhat common for a lot of people. And so I've done it with just stuff that I got that I don't even remember what it is that I ordered. But I know that I have a package. I'm like, I want to see what this package is, but I have stuff I do. I'm going to delay the gratification and do things I need to do, and then allow myself that little bit of dopamine, that little bit of joy. And so that idea of delayed gratification, it sounds so silly, but but when it starts getting built up in those common, mundane ways, then when the crap hits the fan, or when stuff gets difficult and stuff gets hard, you won't even notice that you are doing the same things you've done earlier to be able to get through it. You won't even notice because you're just used to this idea of delaying the gratification. So I'd say the principle of delayed gratification is huge. And it's hard to give specifics just because I only know specifics about my life. I don't know any personal experiences about you or any personal experiences about the listener, but I do know that we all kind of